Acrisius, the ruler of the mighty city of Argos, grappled with profound distress due to his lack of a male heir. To alleviate his anguish, he made a pilgrimage to the oracle of Delphi. However, the prophecy he received only intensified his despair. "You shall never father a son, and regardless of your attempts to evade fate, your destiny is to meet your demise at the hands of your own grandson." The king had just one daughter, Danaë. To shield himself from the prophecy, he chose to keep the princess confined to the palace for her entire life. But Zeus, the ruler of Olympus, heard the girl's prayers and fell in love with her. He decided to pay her a visit. Zeus transformed into golden rain to enter the tower's openings where the princess was kept. The golden rain descended into Danaë's lap, and Zeus fathered a child within her. As time passed, Danaë gave birth to a son named Perseus. When King Acrisius learned of his grandson's birth, he was consumed by anger. He suspected that his brother, Proetus, might have been responsible for impregnating his daughter with the aim of eventually taking the throne. The king resorted to a severe punishment for his daughter's perceived betrayal. He chose to imprison the princess and her baby within a wooden chest and cast them into the sea. Acrisius reasoned that he could not be accused by the gods of taking the lives of his daughter and grandson because their lives had not been taken by him, and he resolved not to intervene to alter their destiny if it was to be their fate to perish in the ocean. However, the gods had a different fate in mind. In response to Zeus's request, Poseidon directed the chest to Seriphos, where Perseus and his mother were saved by Dictys, a fisherman and the brother of King Polydectes. This humble fisherman provided shelter for the mother and raised Perseus as if he were his own son. As the years passed, Perseus flourished into a handsome, strong, and courageous young man. On one occasion, a grand celebration was held at the palace, and Dictys and his protege, Perseus, were among the invited guests. The king was captivated by Danaë's beauty, but observed that she was always under the watchful eye of her protective son. The climax of the event arrived when the king was presented with numerous gifts, including horses and precious jewels, by the attendees. Next in line was Perseus, who, being a simple fisherman like his adopted father, lacked any particularly valuable gifts to offer. Perseus spoke up, saying, "I may not be wealthy, so I have no horses or jewels to present to you, but I offer you the head of the dreaded Medusa, if that pleases you." The king, recognizing an opportunity to permanently remove Perseus from his mother's side, replied, "If what you claim is true, then go forth and confront the troublesome creature, but do not return until you have brought the monster's head as a trophy." As the son of Zeus, Perseus had always been aware of the extraordinary power within him, and knew that his destiny held great accomplishments. The hero displayed unwavering determination and successfully embarked on the challenge presented to him. Fearlessly, Perseus set out to embrace his fate. Perseus, the legendary Greek hero, embarked on a perilous mission to find and slay the dreadful Gorgon Medusa, whose gaze turned anyone who looked at her into stone. While the Gorgon's whereabouts were unknown, Perseus had the divine aid of his half-siblings, the gods Hermes and Athena, which gave him an advantage in his quest. Athena gave Perseus her shield for protection. Only the Graeae knew the hideout of the nymphs who had the artifacts needed to accomplish this mission. Hermes acted as his guide since he knew all the paths to any place. Perseus and his companions reached the Graea's cave, who were ancient deities and related to Medusa. There were 3 elderly ladies who shared a single eye among them, so only one could see at a time. Perseus quietly got close to the Graeae and took their eye. They couldn't catch him as they were blind without it. Perseus told them he'd return the eye if they showed him the way to find the guardian nymph with the special items and Medusa's location. Having no other choice, the Graeae agreed and revealed the locations of both. Perseus returned their eye and then went to meet the nymph, who seemed to know he was coming. She gave him winged sandals like Hermes's, Hades' helmet, which made the wearer invisible, and a special bag for Medusa's head. With the help of the nymph, Perseus learned that Medusa hadn't always been a scary monster with snake-like hair. She used to be a lovely priestess who got cursed for upsetting the goddess Athena. The curse made anyone who looked at her eyes turn into a stone statue. Now, the hero was on his way to find Medusa's hiding place. Hermes said he couldn't accompany the hero, but offered him a divine sword crafted by Hephaestus. As Perseus reached the cave of the creature, he noticed that two other Gorgons, Euryale and Stheno, Medusa's sisters, were guarding the entrance. With the helmet of Hades on, Perseus entered Medusa's lair without being seen by her sisters. Inside the cave, Perseus saw numerous statues of men who had fallen victim to the creature. He was careful and worried about a sudden encounter with Medusa. As he cautiously moved through the cave, he spotted the shadow of a figure approaching, armed with an army. The figure shot an arrow at the hero, and Perseus quickly shielded himself behind a pillar. Motivated by the wisdom of Athena, Perseus overcame his fear and concentrated on a plan to defeat the creature. He noticed that the shield he had been given was so shiny that it acted like a mirror. By using the reflection in the shield, Perseus saw Medusa approaching to attack. When she struck, Perseus evaded her attack and then swiftly struck back, beheading her. After Perseus beheaded Medusa, her death led to the birth of two creatures: the winged horse, Pegasus, and the golden giant, Chrysaor, from her blood. Perseus carefully placed Medusa's head into the special bag without looking at it. With the help of his winged sandals, he triumphantly began his journey back home. Perseus, having defeated the dreadful Medusa, was on his way back home with her head as a trophy. Exhausted from his journey, he found a peaceful place to rest, which happened to be the Garden of Hesperides, the domain of the mighty Titan Atlas. Atlas, who was condemned to hold up the sky for eternity, was not very welcoming. So Perseus introduced himself and told Atlas about his heroic feat of defeating Medusa. But Atlas didn't believe him and rudely ordered Perseus to leave. This angered Perseus, so he revealed Medusa's head, and when Atlas gazed into her eyes, he was turned into a giant mountain while still supporting the sky. Meanwhile, in the kingdom of Ethiopia, Queen Cassiopeia had been boasting about her daughter Andromeda's beauty, which offended the Nereids, beautiful aquatic nymphs. They asked Poseidon for a punishment, and he decreed that Andromeda must be sacrificed to the sea monster, Ceto, to save the city from destruction. To spare his kingdom, King Cepheus chained Andromeda to a rock near the sea as an offering. As Perseus was returning home, he came across the chained Andromeda and fell in love with her instantly. Just as a horrific sea creature emerged to claim its sacrifice, Perseus decided to confront it. Using his winged sandals, Perseus dived into the sea and engaged in a fierce battle with the creature. Unfortunately, his sandals got wet, preventing him from flying. The fight continued on the rocks, with Perseus skillfully evading the monster's attacks. Perseus eventually delivered a fatal blow, slaying the creature and saving the city and Princess Andromeda. As a reward, King Cepheus offered Perseus the hand of the beautiful princess. After their marriage, Perseus and Andromeda set sail for the island of Seriphos to complete his mission. Perseus had successfully defeated the Gorgon Medusa and rescued Princess Andromeda from a fearsome sea monster. He was on his way home to deliver Medusa's head to King Polydectes and receive the accolades he deserved. However, his homecoming was not as warm as he expected. As his mother, Danaë, had been mistreated by King Polydectes while forced to stay at his court. With the help of Dictys, the king's brother and Perseus's adopted father, Danaë managed to escape and find refuge in the Temple of Athena, a sacred sanctuary where she was safe from further abuse. When news of Perseus's return reached King Polydectes, he called upon his guards to defend his palace. Perseus, outraged by the mistreatment of his mother and bolstered by his newfound reputation as a hero, quickly gathered allies to confront King Polydectes. They marched toward the palace, and a clash seemed inevitable. The king's army had more soldiers, and Perseus and his allies appeared to be facing defeat. In a decisive moment, Perseus, holding Medusa's head, called out, "Those who are my friends, close your eyes now." He petrified all his enemies, leaving them as stone statues. King Polydectes was hiding, and Perseus eventually found him cowering behind the throne. Perseus spared his life, but turned him into a cowardly and pitiful statue. He then crowned Dictys as the new king. Having fulfilled his mission gloriously, Perseus returned the divine artifacts to the gods. He fixed Medusa's head in the shield of Athena, and his reputation as a hero spread throughout Greece. Rumors circulated that he might return to Argos for revenge against his grandfather, King Acrisius, who had cast him and his mother into the sea as a baby, fearing a prophecy that his grandson would be his downfall. However, Perseus had no intentions of seeking revenge against his grandfather. As a renowned hero, he was regularly invited to participate in festivals and games dedicated to honoring the gods. During one such game, Perseus took part in the discus throwing event. By a twist of fate, his throw struck an elderly man who was spectating the games. This man turned out to be Acrisius, his grandfather, who died from the impact. Thus, even though he never intended it, Perseus unwittingly fulfilled the prophecy revealed by the Oracle of Delphi. Perseus left an indelible mark on Greek history, founding the illustrious city of Mycenae and establishing a noble lineage. Perseus's heroic actions and his descendants, including Hercules, became well-known stories in Greek mythology. These tales of bravery and destiny have amazed people for generations, leaving a lasting mark on the world of legends.